welcome back. This episode, I have a girl teacher. Yay! It's not just all guys. I finally talked a girl into doing this. Without any ado, I would like to introduce you all to Mrs. Erin Bennett. Hello, Erin. Thanks for joining us today.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
I consider her a very good friend, her and her husband. It's awesome to have her on here today. You have seen some of the episodes, so you kind of get where we're going. Tell me something you will never forget about teaching.
All right. So the first one I got here was a couple of years ago. And I happened to have in class a student whose name was Thor. Like his birth certificate government name was Thor. Not a nickname, like official. And he was a great kid, super funny. And whenever we did, Kahoot in class and he would put his nickname in, he always put it in as Power of Thor, like totally playing it up, right? And we had gone through a few months of school. Every time we played Power of Thor, Power of Thor. One day we're sitting there and waiting for the kids to join, and Power of Thor pops up. And then like right afterwards, I get Power of Jesus pops up right behind him, and it's world history class. Like we talk about world religions. Like, oh, we got a little Nordic gods versus Christian God rivalry going in this Kahoot. And half a beat passes, and then just from the back of the room, I hear a voice go, "Oh no, Bennett, like that's just me." And I turn around and I look, and it's another student in my class whose name is Jesus. Not Jesus. And it just added like a whole nother level.
And then it's just a Hispanic student, right?
Yeah, he's like, no, just not Jesus, just me, just Jesus. So.
That reminds me, I had a foreign exchange student that happened to be from northern Spain. I got an education about this because I've only been to the southern coast of Spain where the beach is. Evidently, the northern part of Spain is mountainous and totally different. And the people who are there don't look like what you would assume a stereotypical Hispanic person looks like.
Yeah, very European.
He was really quiet, so you didn't hear from him a whole lot. I think it was easy for some of those kids to forget kind of either who he was or that he was there or what language he spoke or whatever. So I divide one day these kids in to work on an assignment, and these two happened to be Hispanic girls were just flaming this other girl that wasn't in class, just tearing her up one side and down the other. And I walk over there and I'm like, ladies, come on. Number one, she's not here to defend herself. Number two, you're not doing what I'm asking you to do. Would you please just get focused on, okay, Kibby, we're good. We're sorry. We'll get working. So I walk across the room, start working with somebody else, and they start speaking in Spanish. I'm not fluent in Spanish, but I can kind of pick up what people are talking about. I could tell they just started flaming this girl in Spanish. So I turn around from across the room and I'm like, ladies. And they were like, we're not doing anything wrong. Well, behind them is the foreign exchange student. And he's giving me one of these. I made eye contact with him. I'm like, thank you. I got this. They see me make eye contact with him and turn around and look at him and said, you understand what we're saying? And he said, yes. Where are you from? Spain. They speak Spanish in Spain? And I'm going, what?
Oh my God.
As a history teacher, I could have really used you right there about it is because of his people that your people don't speak German right now, that you're speaking Spanish. You know what I mean?
Let's do a little mini lesson on colonialism.
One time I'm playing music in class. And when I play music, the kids ask if they can play music, obviously. And I have this one Hispanic kid who's playing what you hear cars in Grand Island anyway roll by playing, right? And I was like, did you realize that your papa music sounds like German music? And they were like, no, it's not. Yeah, it is. It's the same beat. It's the same accordion. It's German. It's not. It is not. We do not get our music from Germany. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to upset you. So I let it go on, and I turn on my projection board and do a little Google search about the influence of, Germany on Spanish music and culture and all that stuff. And I just put it on the board. I didn't say anything. I just put it on the board. Okay, we see what you're doing there.
Don't even need to say a word. Sometimes with teaching, you are, half teacher, half actor, right? Like some lessons, like you really got to like turn it up. Like if you want kids invested, like you've got to kind of put on a show and you got to be a performer to a certain extent. There's been a couple times that duality of teaching has come back to kind of bite me in the butt. So when I do Industrial Revolution, I do this activity at the very beginning called the urban game. And if you talk to pretty much any high school history teacher that teaches the Industrial Revolution, they probably heard of this. And the concept is just there's this script that you as a teacher read that tells the story of this town that goes through the Industrial Revolution. And within the script, there's directions where the kids actually draw this town on a piece of paper. And as you go through the story, they have to add the factories, the tenements, the coal mines. They watch on paper their town change from this like rural village to this industrial city. And the whole point of it is their cities get chaotic and, polluted and nothing makes sense. It's all hobbled together and it's just awful by the end of it, right? I love doing this game. The kids have fun with it. It's super awesome. But, I'm reading a script and I play it up quite a bit. So, I wasn't a new teacher. I was in like my 4th year of teaching, but it was my first year at a new district. So I'm not a new teacher, but I'm new in the building, new in the district. And I'm doing the urban game. And like I said, I'm laying it on thick, like I'm telling them, all right, you need 5 factories. You need like 6 more pubs. I don't care if you're out of room, like put the pub next to the school. None of the kids are in school anyway. They're all down in the mine. They all got black lung. Speaking of black lung, add 2 more hospitals and 2 more cemeteries because everybody's dying. They're losing arms. They're losing fingers. Like I'm just like laying it on. And I am writing on the board, what they have to add. And as I'm doing this, I turn around and I look and the superintendent of the entire district is standing in my doorway. And I like kind of make eye contact with her and I'm like, oh, hey. And then I just keep kind of going and I try to like kind of wrap it back around and like re-emphasize the educational value of like, yeah, kids, see how your conditions in your industrial city are deteriorating and the problems that, to kind of like, we are learning something here.
Content versus context, right?
We're not just talking about, bars and kids in coal mines dying. Like there's actual value here. But
one year when I was in Indiana, I've been spending the past week trying to teach kids how to write essays, right? So I've got all kinds of stuff on my whiteboard and I'm drawing pictures of sandwiches and the upside down triangles and the boxes and all that stuff. And, as I'm explaining, you start really broad and you get down really narrow and you got to talk about A, B, and C. And they're like, what's A, B, and C? What? It's your 3 body points, the 3 main things you're going to talk about. You got one of those kids in every class, right? Like a kid goes, you mean like sex, drugs, and rock and roll? And when they do stuff like that, you can either stop and try to correct them. And we don't talk like that in here. That's not my style. I'm just going to go with what you say and we're going to use it. If that's where your brain's going anyway, I'm going to turn it into something educational, right? So I said, all right, in the boxes, I wrote sex, drugs, and rock and roll, right? We just went on with it. I didn't think about it at the time. Well, happened to be open house and we were doing parent-teacher conferences in our room and end of school, I go out and grab something to snack on, come back in. I'm there right as we get ready to start parent-teacher conferences. I haven't looked at my board or anything. First parent comes in and I'm standing there talking to the parent and I see my principal walk in behind the parent and is looking at my board and giving me this look like, once again, context and content, right? If you let me explain how we got there, it looks better than I understand. I should probably erase that now. But at the time, it was really pretty innocent.
There was educational value there. Like sometimes you gotta meet them on their level. You know what I mean? Like,
Ooh, I'm glad you said that. I had the unfortunate task one time of teaching all SAT vocabulary to get prep to take that test. What a boring class. All I do is teach vocabulary all the time, right? One of the first days of class, I write this word on the board, exhort, EXHORT, right? Exhort. I write it on my board and I just look at it. What do you see? What does it remind you of? What's your initial instinct? Kid says, ho. Like, out of everything that you could have said, you go to the, okay, that's fine. That pops off into, I see whore. And I'm like, This is devolving quickly, right? But I still want to see if I can turn
Just bring it
their
back.
initial, yeah, see if we can turn it back around. A kid goes, well, what's it mean? And I'm like, well, the word means urge. Whores have urges, so do hoes. Oh my God. Then it goes into, wait a minute, ex hoes. If hoes and whores have urges, then they have a venue to get rid of those or address those. But if you were an ex hoe, then you still have those urges, but you don't have anywhere to do it. So ex hoes have urges. And I'm going, I can't believe that worked, but okay. I'm scared to death to give you the next word. But if that's going to work, right? From an educational administrative standpoint, you might say you're childish, but if it works, right?
If they remembered it, like, did I not do my job? Isn't this what you pay me to do? Like, I got them there.
We were talking a little bit a while ago about how English and history are similar in a lot of ways, but also different in the things that we have them do and write and what their expectations are in class, right? The one thing that I think we probably share in common is that whole jump in and you have to be an actor on a stage. You got to sell something if you want somebody to actually buy it, right?
Yeah. And, there's a lot of things I do that, have that performance level. And like I said, sometimes it comes back to kind of bite you in the butt. But, there's another activity that I have done in the past that is, quite literally an act when I cover the scientific revolution. And to introduce kids to the concept of it, I do this thing where I have them draw, the Earth, solar system, sun, planets, like put it on there, put it in order. And so I give them a few minutes. And then after they're done, then I say, okay, you should have something on your paper that looks like this. And I project a picture on the board, but I project a picture of the geocentric model of the universe with the Earth in the middle, right?
Because that's what we
And
thought.
yeah,
Originally.
right.
Yeah.
Like the scientific revolution, right? That was the previous theory. But then I launched in this whole thing because at first they're like confused and they're like, no, we don't have that. What are you talking about, Bennett? And I'm, no, you guys all have this on your paper, right? And they're like, no. And I'm like, what? How am I talking to high school sophomores that don't know what the order of the planets are? This is ridiculous. And as they kind of argue with me, I get progressively angrier and angrier at them, right? To the point where slowly kids start to drop off, like they kind of stop arguing. But I usually will get one or two in every class that will stick to their guns and be like, no, you're wrong. And then I lay into this kid, I'm like, who are you to come into my classroom and question my authority? I am in charge here. You don't know more than me. I like go in on them and then I end it all by like, and if you're not going to sit here and, do it right, then you can just get out. And I boot them out. And of course, the whole metaphor is I'm the church. The kids are the scientists. Like, how dare you question my authority?
So you actually kicked the kid out of class.
I kicked them out of class, right? But, I usually let them pick up their stuff, get about to the door. And then I break character and I go, no, come back, and they like, kids love it, right? Like I'll get notes at the end of the year about like, I can't believe you did that to us. Like you totally just like altered my brain chemistry. Like I thought you were insane. It's a lot of fun. But it's my second year of teaching. I goofed it up. In one of my classes, I'd gone through the whole spiel and there was this one girl who, previously had a really great relationship with in class, but she was like upset with me, like, no, like you are wrong. And so then I kicked her out, she grabbed her stuff and she heads towards the door. And I don't know, like I had just gotten a little overconfident and my timing was off. And before I broke character, she had gotten out the door. So I break character. I kind of briefly like, no, let me explain to the other kids. And I like run over to the door to go grab the girl that walked out. And I open the door and the hallway is completely empty and she is gone.
She bounced on you.
She is gone. Like I am like, I kind of walk down the hall and I'm like, oh crap. I don't know where she went. But she is somewhere in this building and she thinks that I don't understand the solar system and I yelled at her and booted her out of class for it. And then at this point, I'm also like, I can't just leave my other 24 students in this classroom while I go hunt in the hallway for this girl. So I kind of go back and I'm like, hey, let's finish this lesson. And then as soon as the bell rings, I am on my computer and I pull up this girl's schedule and I'm like, okay, where is her next class? And I like, am running through the hallways, right? And this was at the school that we taught out together. It was a very big school
Huge.
and like not set up condusively for traffic flow. Like there's no short way to get anywhere in this building. So I'm like running through the hallways during passing period. And thankfully, like I get to her next classroom doorway. And as I'm getting there, she's coming down the hallway. And so I grab her and I'm like, I am so sorry. This is what I was doing. I was not angry at you. Like, I feel so terrible. And she like instantly, like, God bless her heart. She instantly like melts. She's like, oh my gosh. She's like, I was so upset because I didn't understand. And I like you so much. And she's like, I'm so relieved. I didn't know what to do. So I just went to my counselor's office and told her about it. And I'm like, oh, great. So now there's an adult in the building
who thinks you don't know what you do.
Thinks that I don't know how the solar system works and that I'm yelling at children about it. So I finished apologizing to her. We were totally good. Like it was totally fine. She was a great kid. And so then I like running back to my classroom to get back to my computer to like fire off this email because I had another class like that class period. I just was late back to that class. And then I'm like firing off this email to this counselor like, hey, you had a student come in and she told you this. And I just want you to know that this is what was happening. And it was all a big misunderstanding. And within a couple of minutes, I get an email from this counselor back and she's like, oh, that's so funny. That makes so much more sense. I just didn't really understand like what she was trying to tell me. And then we, called Mr. Smith in to talk to him about it. Mr. Smith is one of the, Mr. Smith, not his real name. Mr. Smith is one of the assistant principals in the building.
So now you got a principal
who would have been like my boss. And not only just like a random principal, he was my like evaluating principal. So he's the guy who comes in to like grade me on my teaching. And she's like, yeah, we brought him in and, that I'm like, okay.
But we have to go as far as the kids need us to go, right?
Right. Like it spiraled. And I mean, it all ended up fine.
The end justifies the means.
Yeah, the ends justify the means. Like got a little bit out of hand, but everybody learned what the geocentric theory was and how the scientific revolution worked.
It has been phenomenal catching up with you. Thank you so much for being willing to share some of your stuff with us.
Absolutely. It was a lot of fun.
Keep in touch. We'll do this again.
Awesome. Thanks, Kibby.